What's going on, guys? What would Vinny do? Back at it again. So tonight I'm going to touch on an important topic, and a lot of people struggle with it, and the word is patience. So in business, in life, it's a very important word, especially today with the whole Amazon effect and the kind of world we live in. Even way before Amazon, with credit cards, which kind of gave people the ability to get stuff that they really couldn't afford, and they didn't have the patience to wait, so till they saved the money. So to get instant gratification, people are willing to pay 10 times more for the same item. It's crazy. So I still remember, I remember growing up as a kid. It's funny because my parents were the opposite of instant gratification. They would wait years to get something that they wanted, which is good. So like I said, I remember going with my father. He was going to buy a car, a green Jeep Cherokee, and when the price, the guy tells him the price, they're talking about the price. And my father too, whatever we would buy, like it was almost embarrassing. He would take me to buy sneakers, and he would chew the guy down. Like we could be like in Macy's, okay? And I'm like, you can't do that here. This is like a department store, but it didn't matter because maybe that's where I got my negotiating skills from. Now I'm thinking about it. But so we're in the car dealership, and the guy tells him the price, and after I'm sure he chewed him down or whatever it was, and he takes out an envelope and he pays for the whole thing in cash. I was like, and I didn't even understand at that moment, like what that was. Like, so people don't do that now. And this was a while ago, right? So, and I'm not telling the story to make it like my father was gangster or like he was showing off. He was doing it because he was smart and he didn't want to pay interest on the car. So he put it all in cash, and he worked hard for his money. And he made good decisions like that. You know what I mean? And people today don't even do stuff like that. So shout out for my dad being ahead of his time with that stuff. I don't even know if it's ahead of his time. I just think the times have changed and for the worse, like when it comes to things like that. So I think people were just smarter back then. It's crazy. You would think with all the technology and the knowledge, we'd be smarter now, right? It's a weird thing. Yep. And like people coming from Italy, like immigrants, and they were smarter. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's weird. So yeah, so that and stuff like that, when you see it as a kid, you don't even realize it, right? But it has an impact on you. That's why a lot of people, like, you can say whatever you want to say to your kids. They see what you do, and that's what leaves the impact. They're gonna follow your action, not your words. And I've started to learn that in business, and it happened to me last week. Like clients got accepted offer on a house, and I'm like, I need this, and they're like, yeah, we love the house. But then all of a sudden, the things that I was asking for were not coming. So the actions were not matching the words. So I'm like, there might be a problem here, you know? So when you have to, in business, and not only business, in life, go by what people do, not by what they say. That's how you figure things out. And I've gotten good at doing that, and it's helped me to find out a lot of people are a lot of talk. We'll leave it at that. So yeah, so things like that have an impact on you. So remember that. Be smart with your money, and just be patient. That's the key. Like last week's guest, who I want to thank, great story, Maureen Shea, aka the Real $1 Million Baby. She talked about how long she's been doing it, and she's at her age now, and she feels like she's getting better now at her age. And we talked about Tom Brady for a little bit. Like, he's all these young kids, and who's winning? The guy who's been doing it for the longest, right? Why? Because he has the most experience, and things take time. And now when he got to that level, it's on, and it's going to be a while for somebody to beat him, you know. And I mentioned to Maureen last week, and she loved it. Just about patience and persistence, and she talked about how long she'd been doing it, what she's going to keep doing it. And my boy Pete Newbig in Houston, same thing, man. Like he left the Bronx, went to Houston, went through a lot of stuff, and he's just, hung in there, and that's the key. My man John Kelly, who had Cross Country Mortgage, who I do business with, and we talk all the time. And I want to give a shout out, first of all, to John and Rob Tuzo. They invited me to the Yankee game this past week against Boston, and we were in a suite, and it was just a great time. We're going up in the elevator, and I said, "What's up, Will?" And it's Willie Randolph, the Yankee second baseman, and nobody even really noticed him. And I felt a little weird because I'm like, "What's up, Will?" And I kind of like blew up his spot. And then John was like, "Hey, what's going on? You're my favorite player." And we were like, "You look great." He was like, "I'm 65 years old," so that was cool. That was cool. As we were walking in, getting to see Willie, and then just the whole experience in the suite was amazing. Going in there, just eating, drinking, enjoying the night. They had the TVs. We're watching the Raptor Warrior game, and then you go outside and you could actually, you have like 15 rows, 3 rows of seats where you could sit and watch the game. But the Yankees didn't win, but it was a great experience. And I just wanted to thank John and Rob for the invite. And so I brought up John because we send, like I said, I think I mentioned, we send each other some motivational stuff. Like I'll send him stuff by Gary Vee, and he actually sent me a video of Les Brown, Tony Robbins. It was like a combination, and there was a part in it that really stuck in my head, and it's Les Brown mentioned a Chinese bamboo plant where you have to water it 5 years before it even comes up out of the ground at all. So that's what I'm talking about, the kind of patience you need to be successful. But then after the 5 years, when it does come out of the ground, something amazing happens. In 5 weeks, it grows 90 feet. So, and that's kind of what I feel happens in business. Like once you get to that point and you get the traction and you turn that corner, it starts to happen really quick. But a lot of people quit before they get to that point. So everybody, hang in there. I tell people all the time, it took me 3 years to make any money, like not even a lot of money. It took me 3 years in real estate. It took me 3 years to make money. And then it took me about 6 years to make good money where I could say this is a living. And then it took me 10 years to figure it out and to really be doing well, you know? And so it takes time, you know, and a lot of people are not willing to do that. And I think that's the thing that keeps people from being successful. You know, lack of patience. I mean, there's obviously a lot of people have a fear of failure and they worry about what other people think. But right up there is people just don't have patience. If you're starting out in real estate or you're starting out in anything now, you need to go in there with a mindset that it's going to take time. It's going to be hard. And like I said, I've been doing this over 10 years now. And I see people come and go, and the number of agents who hit the ground running and just crush it out the gate, I can count it on one hand. But the thing I do see is people who stick it out, who have stuck it out, and they've been in the business over 6 years, and now you start to see what I said, like almost like with the bamboo plant. All of a sudden now, a lot of good things are happening for them, and they're turning the corner. So now it's coming quickly, but they had to take that 6 years where it wasn't so good, and they hung in there. And it's great to see because I love seeing people who stick it out and put in hard work and effort, and it starts to pay off. It's rewarding to do that, to put in the effort and dedication and have the patience and belief in yourself and believe in the process and keep pushing. And then there comes this moment where you're like, shit, man, look how far I came. I always like to tie in sports on my show, and I think about Michael Jordan and winning 6 championships with the Chicago Bulls, and I just think about the first one he won, and I when I watch the videos, and I have it in my mind right now of him holding the trophy and just holding it so tight and like grabbing it and like embracing it. And the reason you do that is because all the work and effort it took you to get to that moment, and you've reached, now he's at the pinnacle, and he's thinking of all of that stuff. He was crying. You're holding the trophy and you're crying, and you think of how you had to get through Boston, how you had to get through Detroit, how you had to get through Magic and the Lakers, and now you did it. Like, and it took him a long time to do it, but he never stopped. he could have stopped, right? I remember he played the Celtics, and they beat him, and he scored. And you knew he was going to be great. He was a rookie. He scored 61 points, and they still beat him. It was Bird. It was McHale. He didn't have Pippen with him yet, but he could. So he could have stopped, right? He could have said, "Yo, this is too tough." But no, he stuck it out. He took that loss and he went back in. He worked harder and he worked harder. And obviously, Bird got a little older, so but if Bird was his prime, now biased towards Bird, but whatever. Things worked out for him. But listen, hockey, any sport. I talk about hockey when they win the Stanley Cup and you see these guys holding the Stanley Cup. I think of Mark Messier holding the cup with the Rangers, and I'm not even a big hockey guy. And when you see him holding the cup up, you know what he's feeling. He's feeling, I've been playing this game since I'm 5 years old, and now all the work I put in, I paid off. I'm at the top, and that's what it is. So you got to just hang in there and understand, to get truly great at anything, besides effort and talent, it takes time. So hang in there, create good daily habits, and be patient. You want to save anything you want to do. You want to save money. You want to buy a house. It takes time. Like I work with people and I hear people say, I can never afford a house. Oh, a house is crazy. I couldn't afford a dog house. Right now you can't afford a house. But if you put money on the side and you work at it, in 5 years, maybe you can afford a house. And maybe, even if it takes 7 years, 10 years, it's worth it. And that time will go by. 10 years will go by. And you'll wish you would have started saving, because in 10 years, you'll still be in the same place because you had the mentality that you couldn't afford it because you needed it in the moment. You can't have everything in the moment. And once you realize that, you start to figure it out. Things take time. And for me, I enjoy what I'm doing, so I don't mind the time. So I guess that's the trick. So I'm going to actually try to give my kids a head start. I talked about it in the first podcast, or one of the earlier podcasts, where my father told me if I saved $20,000, he would get me a house. I'm paying it forward to my children, and I dropped the gauntlet on them. I told them the other day, save $20,000. I'm going to put up the difference. I'm going to get you a house. So we're going to keep track of it, see if it works, see if one kid does it, see if all 3 kids do it, and that's it. So I'm offering the same thing my father offered me. I took advantage of it. I did it. I still have the house. It's in my family. It's still with my family. It's probably worth about 4 times more than it was when I bought it, which shows you the power of real estate and investing. And that's why we all should be doing that. And if it takes time, it takes time. It's still worth it. I want to talk about my son Vinny. Speaking of my kids, he graduated this week, and I want to say he graduated from 8th grade. And I have to say, watching his class and his friends go through the step in their lives has been it's been amazing for me this week. The kids, they're just all really good kids, and they genuinely care about each other. And it's cool to see, especially with the way things are today, to watch the affection they have for each other, and not embarrassed to show it as boys and as friends. Like it was just really good to see. And they had their prom, and I'm just proud of my son. I'm blessed, and I'm proud. I mean, he's a respectful, cool kid. I see him, and I just feel like he can do whatever he wants. The whole world's in front of him, and he could accomplish anything he wants to accomplish. And he's a handsome too. I'll throw that in for him. So congrats to my son, Vinny. Moving on to the next chapter in his life. I'm proud of you. I love you. Nikki and Taylor, I love you too. Even though you didn't graduate, I still love you. But you'll get yours soon. So it was real. It was honestly, it was a little weird for me seeing him all dressed up, and he looked like a little man. He looked like a little. People were like, all he needs a for sale sign, and it would have looked like. Guess who he would have looked like? He has a little suit on, so it was actually cool, and it was weird. Seeing time goes fast, and then it goes back to my point, what I said before. So before you know it, you have children, you turn around, they're graduating from 8th grade, the same way you save money, and before you know it, it'll add up. So patience, make the most of it. Do surround yourself with good people. Do the right thing. Go after it. We only get one crack at this. Next week, our guest that's definitely on is definitely going after it. Renee Hill, aka Queen of the Bronx. She's an experienced trial attorney, concentrating in criminal defense. She's practiced for many years with the law of Murray Richmond. Don't worry, Murray, my guy. We had him on the show already. So we're gonna have Miss Hill on. It's gonna be great. She's tried over 100 cases, including some high-profile stuff, which we're gonna get into. Homicides. She was named one of the top new attorneys in criminal justice area by the New York Post. She's appeared on countless times on Court TV, and she's gonna be an amazing guest, and it's gonna be great. I'll tune in next Thursday. I want to thank everybody for listening to What Would Vinny Do. Keep the likes coming, like our page, comments. Have a great night, and see you next week.